Alright, what is up guys, and welcome back to another Discord bot tutorial video, and we are back with Lachlan's submission again. So this is going to be part 3 and the last video of his submission. So like this is definitely like a big submission, to be honest, because there's a lot involved in this this support ticket system, and it's a very useful system because like you do actually see this a lot in like a lot of public servers. They might have custom bots where like you get to submit issues to the admins. So this is a very useful system that approach like a lot of you might want to implement in your bots. Very useful, honestly. So we are going to get through part 3 of this video. So this is to do with Lachlan's submission. Is he wants a transcribe command that when you actually go around to closing the issue or deleting the issue, he wants a command to pretty much log all the messages that pretty much was sent in that channel and store it to like a HTML file or like a text file or whatever. So, you know, like let me show you like an example. So say if I submit a ticket right now. So we'll say, I don't know, random issue. So we'll submit and make the ticket. So here's my ticket. Channel. So say if I said, blah blah blah, here's my issue, 1 2 3 4 5, I don't know. So say if we had a nice conversation going on here and we've fixed the issue and and pretty much the admins are getting ready to close the issue, right? So we want a command to pretty much make a transcription, pretty much make a log of all the messages that was sent in the channel, and he wants to store them in a text file so that he can store them in his log folder or wherever he wants to store them, right? So I think my idea of doing this is probably a / command. I think that's a pretty good way to do it, right? So what we're going to do is open up our Discord bot, and then we're going to make a / command file in here. So let's say let's add a new folder. Well, no, add a new class. So I'll just name this basic SL. So once again, this is this is just an example. So we'll make this public, and then we'll make sure to make this inherit from the application command module. So application command module, cool. And then obviously we need to make sure that the the bot is ready for / commands as well. So once this is done, we'll be right back and we'll code the transcribe command. So now we're ready to code the transcribe command. So the way I'm going to be doing this is with the parameters, I'm going to have like a start date and then the end date, so that like the user can put in the start date of when the first message was sent, and then the end date is pretty much when the last message was sent, right? So it will pretty much get all the messages in that date time frame, and then it's just going to log all those messages, right? So first of all, like way before we even start creating this command, we need to log the messages, right? Because right now this bot is not logging the messages. So how on earth are we going to store the messages, right? Like we need to be able to log the messages first. So what we need to do first is go into our message created event handler and store the messages in a class or wherever we see fit, right? So let's make a new folder here and we'll name it the message logger. So like this will contain everything we need for our message logging system. So we'll say message logger. Cool. And then in this message logger, we're going to have a class containing all the different properties about our message, right? So we'll make a class called dMessage. So we'll say Discord message, right? So dMessage. So in this dMessage, we can have like some basic properties like the username, the content of the message, stuff like that. So I'm just going to keep it simple. Obviously, you can add more properties if you want. So let's add a username. So public string and then username. So we'll obviously get set it. And then we'll have the content of the message, right? Because we need to log that too. So we'll say public string and then content. So we'll obviously get set it, and then we'll just add one more, the date. So like we'll add the like the date this message was sent. So we'll say public date time, and then we'll say send date. So we'll say get set. Okay, cool. So we have our basic class set up, and yeah, that's pretty cool. So like the next thing we're gonna have is a list to store these messages to, right? So this like the way this is going to work, if you guys remember how I stored my my photos for the Google command for the images, it's going to be very similar to that. So let's create a new class, and this is going to be a static class in the program file so that we can access those messages in the / command. So what we're going to do is name this the message logger. So we'll say message logger. So this is going to contain all the necessary classes or lists that contains our messages. So we'll say public, cool. And then what we're going to do is make a list. So we'll say public, and then and then list. So this is going to contain a list of messages, and it's going to contain a list of D messages because this is what we're going to be storing. So we need to make this public as well. Whoops. So public. So we'll store a list of D messages. Cool. So messages, and we'll say new list of D messages to initialize it. So we need this class to be static because we are going to be pretty much using this in the program class. You'll see how this works. So what we're going to do is make an instance of this class to use in the program. So what we're going to do is, first of all, we're going to initialize a static constructor. So we're going to say static, static, and then the message logger. Cool. So there's our static. So like there's our static constructor. So now we need to create a static instance of this class. So we say public static read only, and then the message logger instance. So the name of this is the instance, and then we create a new instance of this class in the class. So this might seem very confusing, but this is how static classes work in the program, is add this as a property. So what we're going to do is say public static, and then what we're going to do is say message logger. Okay, so we've got our like our public static message logger, and when we start this program, we're going to set this variable as the instance. So what we're going to do is say logger is equal to the message log dot instance. So this way we can actually share data in between the different classes in this bot. We are going to be going into the message created event handler and storing each of the messages in this, like this, like this logger variable. Well, how on earth are we going to access that in the / command? That's the reason we do it like this. So we say logger equals message log dot instance, and this way we can share information between each of the classes. So once we've done that, the next thing to do is to go to our message created event handler and start logging the messages. So I've just realized we need to log the channel as well. So what I want to do is add on an extra like property in here, and that's going to be the channel ID. So we're going to say public ulong and then channel ID. Get set that. And then we'll also add that as a variable, or like a parameter in the / command. So what we're going to do then is save that, and we're going to register the message created event handler. So we'll say client and then message created plus minus, and then we'll make the event handler. So we'll say message created handler. Cool. And then in this event handler, we are going to log all the messages in the channels. So what we're going to do first of all is we're going to check if the user is not a bot, because we don't want to log bot messages. So we say if the the author, I need to change this to an E. So if we say if the author is bot, and then we check for the inverse. So this is saying if the eAuthor isn't the bot. So if eAuthor is not a bot, we can start basically like storing the message details. So let's make a new instance of the dMessage class. So we'll say var message equals new dMessage, and then let's start putting in all the information. So we'll say username is equal to e.user or we'll say author.username. There we go. The channel ID is equal to e.channel and then the ID. Simple as that. Like what's next? It was, let's see, the content. So the content is just basically the e.message. Honestly, it's just, yeah. So the e.message and then the content, and then the date it was sent. So the send date, we'll just say the like current date, because when this event handler fires, it's firing at this exact time. So let's just say datetime.now, or like UTC now it doesn't matter. So like datetime now. So that's cool. And then what we do is just add it to the list. So all we do is say the logger, and then we add it to the list. So we say logger dot messages dot add, and then the message. Pretty simple, right? So as long as this bot is alive, it's just going to log messages from every single channel that this server is in. So when we get around to coding this command, we need to be able to filter through each of the channel IDs, right? So that we're logging the correct channel ID. Since this is not doing anything asynchronous, we're just going to say return the task as the completed task. Pretty much the same as like on client ready like handler. So that's what we're going to do, and then we're done with this. So like now we're ready to code the slash command now. Okay, so let's make a slash command. So like just like Lachlan said, he wanted the name to be transcribe, so let's do that. So we'll say slash command, and then we'll name it transcribe, or log, or pretty much like any name you want. So what this command is just going to do is it's just going to generate a log of the messages. So we'll say generates a log of messages sent in a channel. Cool. And then we'll make the method for it. So public async and then task, and then we'll say the message log generator, or pretty much anything you want, and then the interaction context CTX. Alright, so now we're ready. Okay, so what parameters do we need? First of all, we need the channel ID, right? Because we want to like we want to log messages in a specific channel, right? So let's say first of all, let's do an option, and then this is going to be the channel ID. So this is going to be the channel ID where you want to log the messages, and let's just say long channel ID, and then we'll obviously pass it as a ulong. Yeah. So next up, we'll just have the start date and then the end date. So we'll say option, and then we'll say start date. So this is pretty much where you want to start logging, and then it's just going to be the same for the end date. So this is going to be a string. So we'll say string, and then start date. Like obviously in slash commands, let's make sure to defer the message. Makes makes life a lot easier. So we'll say await, and then CTX, and then defer async. Cool. So like this should be at the start of every single one of your slash commands to make life easier. Okay, so first of all, what we're going to do is pass all of these different parameters to their necessary variable types. So the long channel ID needs to be a ulong, and then the dates need to be in a date time variable. So let's pass those first. So let's say ulong, and then this is going to be the actual channel ID. So what I'm going to do is name this the channel ID, but with a lowercase d. And then what we're going to do is say ulong, and then pass it. So pass and then the channel ID. So the next thing is to do the dates. So we'll do date time and then the start date. And then this is going to be a date time pass. So we'll say date time pass, and then we're going to say the from date. So from date. So like we pretty much have to, you know, like ask the user, or you know, like we pretty much have to tell the user exactly how we want our date to look like. So in this case, it's just going to be DD, MDEM, and then YY. That's the usual date format, and then we'll do the same thing for the end date. So date time pass and then 2 days. So we've passed all of our parameters to their necessary, you know, variable types. So now what we're going to do is use these parameters to search this logger, you know, like the messages in this logger, and what we're going to do is filter out those messages depending on our different parameters over here. So where channel ID equals the one that we've passed in, we're going to filter it into a brand new list. So let's say list, and then there's going to be D message. And then this is going to be called messages in range, right? Because that makes sense. We're pretty much filtering out the message to put it into this list. So we'll say messages in range. And what we're going to do is access this list. So we're adding it to the static logger, and we're adding the messages. So what we're going to do is use the program variable to access that list. So what we're going to do is say program, and then what we're going to do is access the logger. So that's pretty cool. So this is what I meant by we can transfer information in between classes. So we can access this logger variable. As you can see, it is right up here. This logger variable that we've declared as a public static message logger. We can access that. So what we're going to do is say logger, and then messages, and then what we're going to do is filter through this list. Is say where, and then let's provide our filter. Let's say message as an example. So we'll say message. So where the message, and then we'll say the message dot, and then we can, you know, like match, you know, like mix and match all of these different parameters that we've got here. So let's first of all, what are we trying to check here? So first of all, we need to check for the channel ID. So we need to say where the message channel ID is equal to this channel ID that we're passing in here. So let's say channel ID. So there's our first, there's our first check. Let's add an and we need to also check for these two parameters here, the start date and the end date. So what we need to do is say where the message dot send date is greater than or equal to the start date. So start date, because it makes sense, right? So we are trying to check for messages that are that pretty much have a date that's bigger than the start date. And then for the end date, we need to check if it's less than, right? So we put like another and we say where the message dot send date is less than or equal to the end date. So end date. Okay, so we put in our filter, but right now it's given an error, because obviously we need to turn this all to a list. So we say to list, and there we go. So what we're doing in this massive line here is we are filtering through our messages list, because right now this is just logging every single message in every single channel that this bot is in. So that's why we are filtering it out. So where the channel ID is equal to the channel ID that we're passing in, and also the send date is also greater than the start date and less than the end date. So that's our filter right there. This list should now contain all of the messages that has been filtered out like this. So Now let's actually store this in a nice file. So what I'm going to do is just store this in a nice text file, right? So let's just create like a nice text file in here. So we'll say new item, and then we'll just say output.txt. So like a nice text file. To write stuff to a text file, we are going to be using a stream writer. So I think that like that makes a lot more sense, right? So since we're using a stream writer, let's make sure that we put our output.txt file in the bin folder. So bin debug, and let's paste it in. So output.txt is in here. So we'll come back to this file later. So let's make sure that this is open. So we'll just pin that. So what we're going to do is use our stream writer and pretty much and pretty much for each through this whole list pretty much. So for every message in this list, we're just going to write it to the text file, right? It's simple as that. So we'll say using stream writer, and then we'll call it WR this time because it's a writer, right? And then we'll say new stream writer, and then we'll say output.txt. So output.txt. Okay, we're ready. So in the stream writer, we're going to for each through this list, and then we're going to write a nice looking, concatenated string to the text file. Once this is done, we're going to send this message to the Discord channel. For each var message in the messages in range, and what we're going to do is make a nice string. So we'll say string, let's say string to write, and let's make a nice concatenated string. So let's make it look good. So let's say the message and then the username, cool, and then we'll say \n, and then we'll just do this for like every other property. So we'll say message, or like let's say content is equal to the message and then the content, cool, and then we'll do \n. So it looks very nice and neat. So like a very nice separator. It's got all of our details in there, and we're going to write this to the file now. So what we do is say WR and then write line, and then we pass in the string to write. Simple as that. Now we're done. We are done writing all of the messages to the file. So if this channel has a lot of messages, this file is going to look massive. So that's good because it's pretty much a log anyway. So okay, we are done now. So in order to send this file to a Discord channel, let's see what it needs. So let's see. So how do we send a file to a Discord channel? So first of all, since this has been deferred, we need to do edit response async, right? So we do await edit response async. So what's it? CTX, and then edit response async, and then we create a new Discord webhook builder. So let's get rid of the D# plus entities and make sure we import that in the usings. Okay, so let's see what methods it has. Look at that, it says add file. So we can add files to a message, right? Or pretty much add attachments, like that's pretty normal in Discord, right? I can press this add button and upload a file, or like upload a picture. So that's a Discord, that's known as a Discord attachment, right? So as you can see, it needs a file name or a stream. So let's say file stream, and then this is our actual file. So let's say new file stream, because this is a class, and let's see what it needs. So let's see, it needs the path and then the file mode. So let me tell you what that means. So the file path is obviously the path to our like the path to our text file. So in this case, it's right here. So we'll make sure to paste that in, and then let's say output.text file. So let's see what's next. So file mode. So this is what the file stream is allowed to do. Is it allowed to read, write, or both? So pretty much what I only want it to do is pretty much read it, right? So file access and then read. That's it. And then I think it wants one more thing. It wants the file mode, yeah. So the file mode, let's see what that wants. So file mode. So there we go. So file mode, there's create new, create, open or create. So we just want to open the file, that's it. So we want to open the file and then give it read permissions, right? And then all we got to do is just attach this into our Discord webhook builder. So we say file. There we go. So we've now attached our file onto this message, and then it's going to send that off. So let's pretty much have a recap of what we've done so far. So what we've done is we've pretty much created a logging system where it has a list of messages, and then we are making this static so that we can transfer this over to other classes, because we are using it like this. So we are setting the logger as the message log.instance. So what we're doing next is we are pretty much logging all of the messages that are being sent in pretty much any server, in any channel, right? And then in the slash command, transcribe, we've got three parameters here. We've got the channel ID, we've got the from date, start date, and then we've got the end date. So these are the these are the parameters that will act as our filter for when we are searching the messages list, so that we can use it in our stream writer. So we're writing each and every message to the text file, and then we're sending it to the channel. So let's give this a test. Pretty much like a lot has happened here. So let's give this a test. Let's pretty much give this whole system a test. So we've got our support ticket system. Okay, I want to submit a ticket. So let me press submit ticket. So let's say I have an issue with my Discord bot. So let's press submit. And okay, it's created a new submission for us. So let's just pretend that we're having a you know, like a normal conversation. So I'm just gonna type in random stuff here, and every time I'm sending a message, the bot is logging these messages. So I'm just gonna carry on sending these messages. Yeah, blah blah blah. Let's just, you know, now I want to use the transcribe command to log all of these messages, right? So let's see. Let's see. So like we've got transcribe here. There we go. So let's put in the channel ID. So let's right click on here, copy channel ID, and let's paste it in. There we go. There's our channel ID. Now the start date and end date in this example is going to be a bit weird, because I sort of have to put yesterday's date, because I'm sending a lot of messages today, so I can't time travel obviously. So what I can do is put yesterday's date, just to give you an example. So I'm going to say 17, and then we'll say 07, and then 2023, because that's yesterday's date, and then we'll put tomorrow's date, because then it's going to get all the messages in between. And right now it's the 18th. So okay, looks like this is, yeah, okay, so this is where I need to put this as a string. So okay, yeah, it's saying input a valid integer. Okay, so let me make sure to copy and paste this. So already we've had an issue there. So it looks like I need to pass this as a string. Yeah, damn, okay. String.channel-id. Okay. So what I can do is just get rid of this, and then restart the bot. Okay. So this means I just have to send the messages all over again. Oh, for God's sake. Okay. So let's just send these messages. Yeah, whatever. Okay. So channel ID. Let me copy the channel ID again, and this time it should accept it. So there we go. Let's put yesterday's date. So 17, 07, and then 2023, and then the end date is going to be 19, 7, and then 2023. Alright, why does it say input a valid integer? Like normally slash commands do take a while to sort of update itself in Discord. So okay, let's press enter and see what happens. And there we go, look at that, it's very quick, and it sent it as a text file. And looks like I forgot to put a \n in here. Yeah, so it's okay. Yeah, so yeah, like it's not, you know, formatted it properly, but you can see how it works. So yeah, okay. So let's you know, like test the you know, like transcribe command now with the you know, correct format. So I'm doing \n for each line. So let's do transcribe, or let's just paste the, you know, same command in actually. So if I do this, there we go, and then if I put in the new channel ID, then it should format properly now. So if we do this, then yeah, there we go. That's more like it. There we go. So it's got a nice text file, and it's pretty much logged everything. I mean, look at that. You know, it's got my user, the content, and the date is all correct. So it's got, you know, 259.50, and they're all different. So even though it, you know, like it may seem confusing that I'm putting date time now, but it's going to log it every time. So the time is always going to be different. So yeah, that's, you know, like that's pretty cool, and that's pretty much the near completed support ticket system. So the rest of the improvements are pretty much up to you. So like I said, there was the button that I wanted you guys to, you know, code. There was, yeah, so like the there was the like edit ticket. So that's pretty up to you to code. So like I want to see your, you know, like submissions, how you guys did it. And then there's also just making this more, you know, more optimized overall. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this, you know, short 3-part series on making a support ticket system. So now the next few videos are going to be, we'll be learning something new. So once again, if you have any questions, then make sure to leave a comment below. And also if you have any issues with your Discord bot, then please join the server, because that's where we will be helping you most of the time. So make sure you guys like and sub to the channel. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you lot in the next one. Peace out.